Hello everyone, welcome to my art channel where we do painting videos. Today I have some landscape studies and I start by taping them down with some clear office tape because I was out of normal paper artist masking tape and I couldn't go out to get some because we're in the middle of a blizzard. So yeah, I just made do with what I had. I start by coloring the sky on the top one with some ultramarine and then I activate it with my watercolor brush just enough to smooth it down. While it dries, I do the same exact steps for my bottom sketch. The only difference is I leave out some random shapes for clouds. For the big one on the right side, I start by coloring the sky with some phthalo blue, again leaving the clouds blank. And then I go over the blue with some phthalo green because once phthalo blue and phthalo green mix together, they make turquoise. Before I activate, I pick up the pencil sketches for the clouds with my eraser because clouds are white and my lines are black and we don't want them to show through. Then I start blending from left to right, leaving the spaces for the clouds. I go over 1 to 2 times, just enough to smooth it down. And while that dries, I go back to my first painting. I pick up the sketches as I go along with my paintings and I draw a mountain using the same ultramarine I used for the sky, and then I blend it downwards. Then the same exact thing for my bottom one. I erase the lines and I color a little mountain shape with the ultramarine and I add a hint of earthy green this time. Then I blend it all going left to right until it is smooth. Meanwhile, my top one has dried, so I add a second mountain using a bit more pressure with the same ultramarine, and again, you guessed it, I blend that one out as well. I pick up the bottom of the foreground with my eraser and I add some small blue shapes that are going to be the shadows on the snow. Then I do my final mountain. Again, I use a base layer of my ultramarine. Then I go over it with a bit of cadmium orange because blue and orange make a gray/brown color. And I add a hint of black. Then I activate it and blend it down. It's okay if you cover the trees, those are going to be black, so it doesn't matter. I go back to my bottom sketch and I color the mountain with my earthy green. I add the shadows with helium blue reddish, which is my darkest blue, just some lines around the hill and around the field going horizontal. Then I take my orange and use it on top of the blue because like I said, orange and blue make a dark gray/brown and it looks very nice on landscapes. I blend everything going from light to dark, so I start from my green hills. Once I'm finished with the green, I go back to the blue and orange mix, and it's okay if they bleed into each other, it doesn't really matter. This is just a base layer we use to lay down our colors, our base tones, and our shadows. I leave a little diagonal line there that is going to be a path. And I leave that one to dry. Meanwhile, I go back to my top painting because I had forgotten to activate those snow shadows I added with my ultramarine. And for my right painting, I color the ground with walnut brown, adding hints of blue and orange. Then I just blend it out going left to right a couple of times until smooth. I take my black pencil and like I said, I'm going to color all of the trees with it. I just do a straight line and then zigzag on top of it, but if drawing is not your thing, there are going to be traceables to all 3 of these sketches available over at my Patreon page, Sunshine Arts, and by doing so, you also help support me and the channel. And like always, you can find the reference pictures and all of the supplies used and mentioned in the description box below this video. Going back to the painting, I add small hints of orange and or Venetian red over the trees just to make them look a bit more on the brown side, because the brown I have in the set is a bit too light, so I just like to mix my own shades as I go. Then I just get my watercolor brush, I make sure it's pretty much on the dry side, and then I tap over my trees to activate the color and make it more vibrant. Then I go to my bottom painting, I add some hints, some random shapes of brown on the bottom left hill, which are going to be some rocky areas. I also color my pathway again with the walnut brown, adding hints of orange and blue. And I further darken up those shadows we did earlier with the Helio Blue Reddish. I just go over them very lightly with more blue and more walnut brown. I also add some horizontal lines on either side of the path, so it looks like there are maybe some grassy fields that are being mushed around by the wind, I don't know. Then I color off the remaining areas on my bottom hill with earthy green and a bit of blue, and then I just tap to activate. I go over my pathway in one big stroke. My right one has dried as well, so I take more walnut brown and I add some random shadows over it. I activate those and I take some yellow ochre and cover on the entire ground with it, adding a second layer. Then I take my black and I color my trees with it. Remember that the trunk is the thickest part and the branches get skinnier and skinnier as they move away from the tree trunk. Then I just scribble on the end of each tree branch to add some foliage. Then I repeat this technique for the two trees that are on either side of my painting. And don't forget to add their shadows underneath. Then I take my watercolor brush and again I just tap over them to activate the foliage and make it look a bit fuller, more saturated and smoother. The green mountain had dried a bit too light, so I do a second layer of just green on top of it very lightly. Then I take my black and I go to my snowy landscape and I add some small twigs or dried up bushes peeking through the snow, and I add their shadows underneath with some ultramarine blue. I add some more shadows to my bottom green landscape. Then I slowly peel off the tape. I realize I forgot to activate my green mountain, so I quickly do that and we're done. I'd like to give a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters for the month of January, and thank you all for watching. We'll see each other in the next video. Bye bye!